Okay, hey guys, we're on site in Egan. We're Minnesota. We're gonna mill up a log here. It's a nice elm log. It's not small. It is not small. It's on a bit of a slope, so we're gonna have to roll it to the mill up a slope with a massive log. It's gonna work. It's gonna work fine. Nothing's gonna go wrong. And there's always a hurdle when you do these things. That Minnesota milling, any kind of milling, there's always things that just aren't perfect, aren't ideal. And it's like every time you have a day where everything goes right, you're like, wow, that was super easy, I love this. But that's kind of a rarity. So we're gonna tackle this bad boy. I'll show you the log here in a second, and we'll see if we can't get a limb cut off, get it rolled, and get up onto the mill and start cutting some. We're gonna cut some 2x6s, 2x8s, maybe some 2x10s for a customer here who wants some decking for a new deck that he's gonna put up on the back of the house. Beautiful property here, so overlooking a nice cool swamp. So hopefully we can get that all cut up so he's got a nice place to sit and drink his coffee, or at the end of the day a nice glass of whiskey, and enjoy the view. So stay tuned. All right, so here's the update. Instead of moving the log, which that's not gonna happen, we're just gonna mill it where it is, on a slope. So I think I can get the mill level, and if I can, I think the winch can get up there. And if the winch can get up there, I think the chainsaw has enough battery to cut the limb off so it fits on the mill. We'll see. So getting this log set up was probably the most arduous setup I've ever had. First of all, the log is not small, it's massive. Going solo, and the weather was, it was hot. It was just like an instant sweat fest the moment you step outside. So gotta get this limb trimmed off, obviously, to be able to roll it up there. Just finagling with a battery chainsaw was a nightmare. First idea, roll the log to a level area where I have the mill. Call my dad, see if he can't come help. Nope. Okay. Maybe I'll go to the store and get a giant chain and pull the log to the mill to truck. Well, turns out chain is extremely not cheap, and come back, don't want to spend the money on it. Okay, screw it. Let's just get it level next to the log. So I spent forever and a day just trying to get it level, using some of the nearby stumps from the customer to get this mill level. Okay, good to go. Got the wire around there. And somehow this winch was able to get it up there. So get the log up there. It was quite the effort just to get the log on the mill. But now I'm committed because the log is about to be on the saw deck, which unfortunately my camera died and shorted out right before. So missed that whole process of getting up there. Again, had to trim it down just a little bit more just so it would work. Fix everything, get it nice and straight to come on there. It was something like I've never done before. At this point, I was ready to quit, but you can't quit once you got it up there. So this customer wanted the 2x6s and 2x4s for a deck and whatever they could get out of it. So I was just trying to maximize as much lumber production as I could. And right away encountering a problem, and it turns out that I can't push the saw head through on the tracks because the mill deck was bent. The rail of the mill deck was bent. And I don't know this. I think it's a blade, like it's a dull blade. I'm not sure what it is. So I have to cut it off, okay, get a new one, put it on there. At this point, I still don't realize that it's not the blade. It's definitely the rail, about where my foot is right now, is bent. And I didn't know this. It's just, I forgot if it was someone else's forklift or bobcat that they had used to put a log on there from before that bent it out of shape. I don't know. Or if it was this log itself. I think that might have been the case. There's a bit of a crotch that was messed up there before on the log that could have weighed down on the rail. There it is. I catch it, find it, and I just use a giant hammer here to pound it back somewhat level. And now I can push the saw head through a log. So, it was just like from bad to worse. Like, you can't imagine. Most days are great. And then there's days like today that was just awful.
covered in sweat, super tired, burnt out, and I'm like not even halfway done. And it's just this weird janky setup. Look at where I'm standing. I'm like hands above my head trying to push this saw head through. Pushing the saw head through on a Norwood, interestingly, is fine. It's just not as easy with one person because of the dual track system. The saw head is up on. I gotta find a stool. There we go. Got a stool for myself. Because the dual saw head, you're kind of shimmying it down. It doesn't look like it's shimmying, but like as I'm pushing on one side, there's resistance on the other. But with two people, there's no resistance, and the saw head pushes through the log way smoother, way smoother. And this is something that is kind of a bit of a design, not flaw, but just kind of a bummer with the Norwood, I'd say. I still love the machine. It's just way easier to push the saw head through the log with two people than with one. No way about it. So yeah, quite the day. Here's some more. Try to get some of the dirt off so we don't have that problem. And I'm gonna turn it in 180 degrees, take another cap cut. Then I think I'm gonna turn it 90, get it square, and just get down to a cant. So I'll just start milling a cant, and then just start taking them off of that. And then I'll put them all back on and mill them down after we're done. So I think that's the play. So back at it, just lopping off some of the slabs, which are about 1.5 inches wide, or not wide, but thick. So I'll mill those into 2x6s once I put them back on there. But I just wanted to turn it over 180 degrees, get the other cap cut, and start skimming her down again. And just a huge debacle to flip and roll this thing. It's literally like at the max width of the mill, and it was causing all kinds of problems. A lot of it was just my own fault, but just exhausting so much energy with this manual winch and system. I was so burnt out at this point. I can't even begin to describe, and I still have some huge work to do. So make a good size cap cut here, get this massive thing off. And then now we're kind of finally getting down there. So figure out, okay, well, we're gonna flip her up and then get her down to a cant was the plan. And most of this rest of this video isn't gonna capture it, but mill it down to a cant, and then I just started ripping off 2x6s from there, which worked pretty smooth. But in the end, never been covered in more sweat and sawdust before, but that's the nature of the beast, and got the job done. Got a bunch of wood for the customer, and got the job done. So check us out, Minnesota Milling.